Now moving on to the designing of the national dress of India. If you look at France, the sumptuary laws prohibited the lower class to put on certain kind of dresses. There were restrictions. So in the similar way, to break that one, Jacobins have adopted the sans-culottes, where they started to have the knee breeches completely covering them, free trousers and everything. So in the similar way, in the similar lines, for India also, they want to have these kind of a dress code for the entire country. On the issue of this only, the issue of the cultural symbols which symbolize the unity of the nation are to be designed. So first, the poets start to write the national songs. Vande Mataram came on this one momentum only. Then we have the national flag, which has the national dresses start to be designed. The efforts were made at different parts of our country to portray or to have the pan-Indian dressing style. That is, in 1870s, the Rabindranath Tagore's family has combined the styles of Hinduism and Islam religion of Muslims and made chapkan, the long buttoned coat, which is a combination of Hindu and Muslim traditions together, was a perfect dress for men. And moving on further, in 1870s, Gnananandini Devi, wife of Satyendranath Tagore, who was a former ICS officer, adopted the Parsi style of sari, where it has been pinned to the left hand side and she used to dress like that. That dress has been adopted by Brahma Samaji women and it started to spread in many parts of Maharashtra and in other regions. But these efforts could not succeed because in Gujarat, in Kerala, in other parts, they start to dress differently. So the efforts to have a pan-Indian dress style could not succeed in the initial years. Moving on to the Swadeshi movement. Why we are studying about the political movement in clothing lesson? Yes, the Swadeshi movement is closely connected with the clothing of the Britishers. The Britishers came to India initially to do trade. In 17th century, India was manufacturing the cloth goods of 1/4 for the entire world's requirements. So India has 1/4 of the manufacturing setup and structure in India. Only in Bengal in 18th century we have 10 lakh people who are weavers. And we also have many industries, weaving industries set up near Calcutta, Maharashtra, Machilipatnam, Surat and other places. So only in Bengal we have 10 lakh weavers. And moving on, because of industrial revolution, now the new machines are invented. The replacement has been done from the man-made goods to machine-made goods. So now the Britishers require huge amount of raw materials like cotton and indigo. As they established the control over India, now they started to take the advantage of this in two ways. One, the availability of the raw material abundantly. They forced the Indian farmers to cultivate indigo and cotton. They changed the coarser crops, grains, into their favorite crops of cotton and indigo. Now the Indian farmers have no other choice left out other than cultivating cotton and indigo. Now moving further ahead, the other advantage what they have is India has become a large market to sell their products what they have produced. Raw material is supplied from India and the finished product can be brought back and sold in India extensively. So these are the two major advantages what the British has got because of occupying India. And in 1905, when Lord Curzon decided to do partition of Bengal, then the real momentum started. The boycott of the goods was a weapon used by the Indians. They boycotted all the British goods for many years. The rich people also have taken the turns. They have stick to khadi to portray the patriotic feeling, and slowly after 15 years, the rich people started to use the Western cloth. They started to change themselves into the Western dressing style because however the feeling of patriotism is there, the cheap cloth which is available from the Britishers has no competition matching with the Indian cloth requirement. And this gave an idea to Gandhiji that symbolic weapon of nationalism is nothing but clothing. Britishers' goods, when they are boycotted, automatically the effect can be shown on the economy of the Britishers, and the Indian patriotic feelings also can be generated on a very large scale, for which he has seen as an experimental basis in Bengal. Gandhiji's momentum with the cloth. How did Gandhiji experiment and use it as a weapon to fight against the Britishers and to give a stiff resistance for the British colonial rule? Now we will see here. Whenever we talk about Gandhiji, we generally get the image of Gandhiji, that Gandhiji with a bare chest, with a short dhoti, spinning the mill of charaka and making khadi. This is the image what we get generally and regularly about Gandhiji. But when did Gandhiji adopt this kind of dress style or this kind of dress code? We will just go into the details now. A boy who was from Gujarati Baniya family, who used to dress himself in shirt and dhoti, who went on putting on coat, the western dressing style, who studied law in London and who cut off his tuft so that the others would not laugh, and dress himself in the western style at the age of 19 years in the year 1888, and he always appeared in the western suits. Even in 1890, when he started to work as a lawyer in the Johannesburg of South Africa, there also he dressed himself in the western dresses. So when did he adopt of this kind of non-western dressing style? For the first time, he appeared without shirt in Durban in 1913. That is in lungi and kurta, where for the first time he was dressed in a traditional Indian attire addressing an issue that was against the authorities who have shooted the Indian coal miners. So he is showing his resistance. So this made him to feel that the traditional dress will have more impact than the western dress. When Gandhiji returned back to India in 1915, he decided to dress himself as the Kathiawadi peasant, which is a symbol of normal traditional dress. And later in 1921 only, he adopted to have the short dhoti, which he continued till the rest of his life until his death. It was the date on 22nd of September 1921. A year later, after the non-cooperation movement was announced, he declared that I am going to practice wearing the short dhoti and not wearing anything on the chest, so that I don't want to give any message without preparing myself and to know whether really can I practice it or not. So this made him special from the other leaders. He always give suggestions which he followed first and which he found that is it practically possible or not. Once he confirms that it can be done practically, then only he starts to advise the others. That is an example given for us from his words here. Up to 31st of October was his first initial intention, but later he continued it till the rest of the life. He also found that this is the dress of the poorest Indian. Along with this, the khadi also made a symbol for purity. He considered himself to be pure when he dresses like this. It also symbolizes him to be simple, simplicity, and the symbol of poverty. He gets connected with the poor people whenever he dresses like this. And it is also acted now as a symbol of nationalism, as he is rejecting the western mill cloth, which he initially used to put on before he took up this oath. And even in 1931, when he went to attend the roundtable conferences at the Buckingham Palace to meet King George V, the officials asked him to put on the dress or the shirt, which he initially used to put when he studied their law. Then when the journalist asked it, he just made a joke saying that, yes, the king has enough on him which is sufficient for both of us. So like this, he softly rejected, and he continued to put on his dress in the similar way. Khadi, is it suitable for all? No, it is not suitable for all. Gandhi initially thought khadi would be the symbol of patriotism. Khadi would be the symbol of purity, simplicity, and it would portray the spirit of nationalism. But it could not be connected very well with all the others because there are many issues. What are those issues? First, Nehru, a successful barrister from Allahabad, adopted himself to the Indian dhoti and kurta, but he did not use the same coarse cloth. He used the different cloth. And next, moving to the Dalits who were suppressed, who faced the social inequality, never gave up the Western style of dressing. They thought it is their self-respect, and Ambedkar never gave up dressing himself in suits. And moving on, Dalits in 1910, early 1910s used to dress themselves in three-piece suits because they also marked it as a symbol of their self-respect, not a spirit of nationalism. And in 1928, women wrote from Maharashtra to Mahatma Gandhiji a letter stating that, "My dear Gandhi, I heard you giving a speech asking all of us to stick to the khadi dresses and khadi saris. But my husband says khadi is really very costly, and to get a 9-yard cloth of khadi is very expensive for a poor family like us. And if we restrict ourselves to 6 yards, the elders would not agree. So how to find out a solution for this?" Yes, it is a really problem for the poor to buy khadi even today. Next, Sarojini Naidu and Kamala Nehru always dressed in colored saris with the printed borders. And then changes in the clothing system gives us not only the idea how the dressing style has changed, but it also gives us the concept of understanding how there is a shift in the cultural tastes, in the notions of beauty, and how it has been influencing the society. There were always been issues or conflicts between the social and the political concerns. So the history of clothing reveals us how the changes have happened in clothing will not only show the changes in the dressing styles, but also reveals how the time has changed for the people from one kind of dressing style to the other kind, and how did the society react to that, how did the political movements happen, how are they interconnected, how did they conclude, what are the changes that happened, how the society got changed, what was the influence of that over the market, what about the industries. So all these factors can also be assessed when we study about the history of clothing. So history of clothing reveals for us changes in the clothing dress style, shift in the cultural taste, notions of the beauty, and social and political conflicts.
If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel to get more videos on CBSE syllabus.